A few months ago, I started a series called Making Prettier Characters, and I started it in Baldur's Gate 3, and I've decided to extend it to pretty much everything with a transmog system, or anything that can do extensive modding. So, with that, welcome to how to make a prettier warlock in Skyrim. I'm going to be covering all the required mods and or mods that I use, and I want to say this up front. By the end of this video, if you have something in your load order that you think would fit in this style of video, do comment it down below. Put the link to the Nexus page if you want to as well, and let me know anything else you think that I should add to my load order, since I'm also looking for new mods pretty much all the time. So, with that being said, let me start off with some of the basics. I'm not going to do a whole mod installation tutorial. I'll have different parts of that down the line eventually when I get there. But I would also suggest taking a look at the other two Warlock videos, which will be top 5 Warlock mods, and then I played Skyrim as a Warlock. It's all sort of combined together. It's a team effort. Take a look at those after this. Alright, let's get going, shall we? So, the first thing I'm going to suggest you get is a body mod of sorts. The two big ones are CBBE and UNP. I would suggest not to use UNP, because all of the bouncing and what have you, and physics and fancy stuff I have going on here, yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't exist. It's a pain in the ass. And I'll give you the quick rendition why. To have these bodies work as they're supposed to, and to have every outfit conform to your character, you have to be able to have what's called body slide files to use in a specific tool to then categorize it all up. I know this probably sounds like Chinese to you. It makes sense once you actually start doing it. But with UNP, it's no longer supported by Body Slide and the tools in general. So conforming all of these outfits to your character is virtually impossible. Getting the physics to work is also pretty much impossible and or a massive pain in the ass. As someone who's just spent the last couple days doing it and trying to make it work, don't use UNP. Save yourself the time. Use CBBE and look for the 3BA body rendition, which will allow you to get all of the bouncing after downloading another physics mod, as well as getting faster HDT SMP, which is what's used for my cloak down here at the bottom, although that's part of the robe, but still. That is the primary physics modifier, which you'll see the top of my hat also bounces, which is the witchy hats that I'll be covering as I get deeper into the video. But that is where we're going to start off. The physics, for me personally, is very important for updating Skyrim, modernizing Skyrim. Now, I will say be very careful on lower end PCs because it will tank your frame rate like a motherfucker, alright? I have an inside joke that my bouncing tits broke my entire game, because they literally did at one point, and I'll tell that story eventually, but I digress anyways. I also am using the Valkyr hair mod that gives SMP hairs as well. I was using Apache Sky Hair, or whatever it was, or KS hairdos with physics and all that. You can do that too if you want, but I found these ones to be much more high quality and to work exceptionally well with physics, and they don't get stuck either, because the problem I was having with the KS hairdos was they would always get stuck when I would dash or sprint, or like something would break, and that's not happening anymore, so big fan of that personally. But let's get into the armor, and we'll start with what I have, and then I'll show you some of the other stuff that I've used during my leveling process, basically, with this character. So I'm running the DX Necromancer armor. So this will be the Necromancer black robes here. These come in enchanted and unenchanted variants if you want them. You will have to have a specific item on you to craft them, which you can find in Solitude, in the Hall of the Dead, if I remember correctly. Downloading the DX mods and what have you are not that difficult, but like I said, they are UNP outfits, unfortunately, so you will need to get conversions for them. Just Google them, look in the required section of the mods, and you'll be able to find all of the needed parts to pull that off. So, essentially, once you've converted these outfits to CBBE, we can then start to create our warlock, I suppose. We can start from the ground up. So, in this case, full robe and full outfit. mixed with the Soletta DX Necromancer legs as well. You'll see the DX set is also on the mannequin there that I'll get to in just a second. And otherwise, I have Witchy Hat for my headpiece. Let me pop into free cam here just for a second, and I'll give you a bit of a better view of it. You'll see the hat up top there. I'm a big fan of this entire outfit, I'll be honest with you. A big fan of the quick light mod as well that gives you the lantern. It could also give you a candlelight that follows with you if you want to add that for the witchy vibe and what have you. I don't have any cats in here, but you can also get cats from the mod A Cat's Life, which I'm also a big fan of. I'll be showcasing that one eventually. This is just the standard Creation Club backpack, I believe, or one of the survival backpacks, something along those lines. And then that is the Intrigue pouches. I always find those work really well. You can get the potion variant, or you could even do the adventuring variant that has blades and torches and all that sort of stuff, depending what kind of vibe you want to make. I went for a mixture of like dark mage plus alchemist of sorts. She is also a vampire, but the vampire texture is bugged out and her face disappeared when I got sucked off by Harkon. So I kind of can't have vampire eyes, unfortunately. It's a bit of a struggle working with some of these load orders, but I do my best. And the gloves in there are the Soletta Necromancer's gloves as well. The little, like, fingernail sort of ordeal there. Big fan of that as well. So, let me show you some of the other outfits that I have to work with here. So, going from lower levels to sort of mid-levels, and then I'm obviously wearing the high-level gear right now. Always good to start with the fun stuff. What I would suggest is the Terra Armor Collection. Now, you'll see in front of me right here, this is the Neophyte gear. This is your standard, simple, early game Warlock and Mage gear that I always find myself crafting, which I find works quite well. The gloves I'm not the world's biggest fan of, I'll be honest with you. I could probably live without those. But this is a good enough set to just mix and match on its own. This has very good weight sliders as well, if you want to adjust specific things to fit whatever type of character you want to make. Works very well with backpacks, works very well with cloaks, as you can see, because it sits at a very specific angle. So, yeah. Witchy hats will also work well with this. All of the lighting from different animation mods and what have you will also work exceptionally well with this. The spell light from Quick Light also worked great. And I was running for the longest time the vial holders, as well as a vial belt across my chest, which I don't have anymore, because this sort of gives the alchemist vibe, right? The starting out low-level warlock alchemy kind of vibe with this, and I am 110% here for it. These are from Bandolier. Now, there is a little bit of clipping sometimes, if it's not aligned perfectly to the body. In this case, I got pretty lucky with my current setup, but you'll see that it can get a little iffy if you're using, say, the leather vial belt, for example. You can also dye these different colors. You can get them in black and white as well, so if I wanted to, that's a nice angle as well. If I wanted to, I could get these in pale white, and those I could craft without much issue. The black dyed variant requires frostbite venom. Of course, you can also just use console commands and not give a shit who really cares. It's your game, but still, nonetheless. Then, you obviously will get access to heals and what have you. This comes from a plethora of different mods. This one's obviously the Terra Armor set still. You don't need the race menu high heals or any of that sort of stuff that I see it saying. I've never downloaded it, and I will never do it to this day. The armor set also adds a bunch of other outfits that you can craft. So I'll just show you here quickly. I have 1 point in smithing, I believe. So you can get the Neophyte stuff, you can get the Necromancer stuff here. And there is a bunch of other stuff, but it actually turns out I don't have the point in smithing. I don't know, happens. But yeah, you just take 1 point in smithing, you unlock the steel smithing, wherever it is here. You pick up this one, and it will give you 4 or 5 really high quality, high textured robes that will be spectacular to be enchanted over top of. The Neophyte robe I'm wearing can also be upgraded into a magical version for a petty soul gem, but I will warn you, you will have to start picking up a lot of linen wraps if you want to actually make these organically. So rob some Draugr crypts and pick them up when you're doing the Dragonstone as well. So then you can start crafting these sorts of things. Now, my other suggestions is to get the upscaler for the Terra Armor collection, because I believe you can turn it into either 11K or 22K or some kind of insanely high-res textures. I haven't got that myself. This is just a standard rendition of it, but I would suggest that if you're going to go down that route. But then I also have the other DX piece here, which is the Soteta, whatever this is, Necromancer as well. Big fan of this one, but it requires a couple more pieces than I currently have, so let me craft them for us right here to make the full set. So it requires the stockings as well as the scarf and the gloves. And the nice part about this, right, with the DX gear especially, plus the bandolier gear, plus the intrigue gear and the hats and all that, it's all piecemeal stuff, right? That's my favorite part about the modernized Skyrim armor game, basically, is it's all compartmentalized. You can use one piece from another mod, and then one piece from another mod, and then one piece from another mod, all to make this put-together aesthetic, right? And I absolutely adore it. So, in this case, let's switch out to the other set, shall we? Make sure you're not using the light armor as well in some of these cases. This is light armor, so it's going to mess with some of my spell bonuses and whatnot. But this is just a showcase, so it doesn't really make a difference. So I'll pop that on for you. And you can see that now we're really talking with the whole Dark Alchemist, Dark Warlock kind of ordeal. Obviously, you may want to deal with the vials up front because you can see the clipping down in there, right? See what I was talking about with if it's not fully aligned correctly. Ooh, a little too close. You'll see that sometimes it doesn't particularly line up. So you may have to mix and match between outfits. You may have to also adjust your character's weight. Sometimes that will have an effect as well. So we'll pop into race menu here, and I'll just give us a nice little side profile. And we'll see if this has an effect on... See? You can see that the bandoliers get drug in there, so you will have an effect based off of that. So you may need to pop into race menu and adjust to fit your character as perfectly as you possibly could. And these are all compartmentalized pieces, as I was saying, so you can use other pieces with different things. So my personal setup, you'll see that this is, on this mannequin, is the other black boots. This is the set that's supposed to go with the other DX piece. You know, I accidentally just made a really good transmog right here while doing this at the exact same time, because normally what I was about to say is that I don't normally use those. I normally opt for a rendition where I actually use the Soteta boots here, as you can see with this, and I don't normally run the vial holders either, just to free up things a little bit. But the exact opposite also works with this that I just tested and just saw. So I'll put that back on for you guys, but now you can mix and match, right? Just with this little, these couple of mods, right? You can now mix and match to create a top tier Warlock across the board. So I'll just show you the other setup here that I just threw together. We'll make a setup together. We'll experiment. Ooh, okay. Let's maybe not do that. There we go. That looks a little more monetizable. Okay. Yeah, I think I can work with that. You can put a cape over that. There's some shoulder capes I could work with. Yeah. That is getting added to one of the mannequins the moment I hit stop recording. So yeah, that is my suggestions for how to make a prettier Warlock. Of course, I also talked about the hat. The hat comes in multiple different colors, and the Necromancer armor that I am primarily using right here also comes in a significant amount of separate colors. You can get this in white, purple, black, red, and green, if I remember correctly. So also take a look at some of the other mods that DX has on his Nexus page as well, because there's stuff like the Frost Witch and what have you, and other, just a bunch of cool stuff. Big fan of his work, so I would highly suggest you go take a look. But that is going to bring us to the end of this video. If you guys have any suggestions for what I could add to this, the other things I was thinking are more like spell-based, you know, like strange runes and that sort of stuff. But strange runes hasn't really worked for me in my load order since I started messing around with it months ago. It just kind of broke on me. But if you have anything else for Warlock-esque aesthetic, do let me know in the comments down below, as I'm always looking for more mods. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you take a look at some of the other stuff on the channel. I'm really going to be investing in Skyrim and giving it my all, so please take a look at some of the other stuff. Thank you guys for listening, and as always, take care, fellas.